Okay, I am back online because Dave has left, and now I can finish the rest of this work. I decided to just go ahead and turn the camera on and film it. I'm wondering if I have some spare parts left that I can use to replace what he's got in here. So I'm about to find out. And remember, the DVR function of this video is on, so you can rewind the video for anything that you've missed. I wasn't quite sure that I was going to do this, but it just makes sense for me to go ahead and film the rest of this. I mean, that's the whole point of making these videos, is so you guys can see the work being performed. So let's take some stuff apart. I just got one of these in the mail, and I'm going to do a video on this. This is a 256 gig. They call it an SSD flash drive because it's so fast. But I've got to tell you what I like about these SanDisk Extreme flash drives. And you got to buy the Extreme ones. As far as I know, they're the only ones. They have a magnet inside, and as you lift this lever up, the magnet grabs it and pulls it all the way up. And the same when it retracts. Oh, there it goes. Now forget fidget spinners. Remember fidget spinners? That was a thing in Pokemon Go and Beanie Babies and Furbies and Tamagotchis. Well, anyway, forget fidget spinners. This thing is so addictive to just slowly. Oh, the magnet grabbed it. Slowly, very gentle. Oh, the magnet grabbed it. Oh, slowly. Oh, the magnet grabbed it. That just occupies. I just like how that feels. I actually bought two 16 gig versions of these, and they're expensive because they're the Extreme. They're fast, so they're like $21. I just want to play with it. I don't even care if it works. I just want to play with this. It's addictive. I'm telling you, it's better than a fidget spinner all day long. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a test on this to determine if this is worth the money. I think they're around $100 for 256 gig flash drive. That's like 400 megabyte per second read speeds and 300 and something megabytes per second write speeds. So I'll be doing a video on this later, but in the meantime, I just want to keep playing with it. All right, I'm going to just put that there because otherwise I won't leave it alone. And I've got a machine in the back. Let me grab, I don't know what I've got back here. I've got some older parts. I still have, you know what I have? I have my father's old motherboard. What did I do with it? Oh, this is it right here. Maybe I'll give Dave my father's old motherboard because it's not doing me any good. It's old, but it's not this old, so it's still an upgrade for Dave. So that's this board here. It's an old EVGA board. And I've got to tell you, based on my experience with this board, while it is reliable, EVGA has never released any BIOS updates for it. I don't like when a manufacturer doesn't continue to support a product, and EVGA does so good on their graphics cards and their power supplies. But based on this motherboard and the lack of updates and support for it, I'm not sure I want to be using EVGA motherboards, even though there's nothing wrong with it and it's performed flawlessly for all these years. I'm a bit concerned that I feel abandoned by the manufacturer, and I can see my camera is way too high right now. I gotta find smaller guests. That's what it is, shorter guests. There we go. Now, I should be back in business. Oh, that's much better. Okay. So thanks, welcome back. Come on in, come on in. Let's start taking this thing down. I think that's what we need to do first. Is it on? I hear it. Yeah, so let's power it down. It's obviously a lot faster now with the solid state drive, but it's still SATA 2 locked in there, and it is a Core 2. I didn't honestly realize it was that old, and I didn't want to make him feel bad, so I didn't want to say anything. This will be a nice little surprise. And it did shut down a lot faster. He's definitely going to need a new power supply, and those the power supplies I said I might be getting today, they won't come in until Wednesday. They were EVGA 600B power supplies. They were on sale at Newegg for $39.99. So I thought I'd order a couple just to have them, and just so happens I need one. So what I'm going to do is on my test bench, I've got an EVGA 430 watt power supply. That's more than enough for him, and I'll use that one. And when my 600Bs come in, that'll be my new test bench power supply. And I ordered two, so I'll have an extra on top of that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get these, I want to just take everything apart. Let's just get it apart and see what we're dealing with raw. And of course, always make sure you unplug the power. Never work on a computer with the power plug, regardless of what you've seen and read and on the internet. It's a safety concern, and it's not a proper, if you're worried about static, that's not how you don't get an earth ground to avoid static. That's not how that works. Anyway, this concerns me how tight these fit in here and why they're so, why it's such a struggle to get these things out. This drive should just slide out with ease. And I'm almost afraid of breaking it. It should not be that tight. I don't even understand why it would be to begin with. Oh my God. Come on. Jeez, it's crazy. It's so weird. The metal must have bent or something, because it was never this hard to put these in. Come on. There we go. Jeez, oh man. Come on. Little pain in the butt. There we go. All right. When was this one made? When it focuses, you're going to look right in that little bar. 17th of April, 2004. This one's even older. This one's 14 years old. A mechanical drive going for 14 years? Yeah, you're just asking for trouble. Now you're just glutton for punishment at that point. I'm going to leave those two cables on. We're going to pull the front umbilicals, USB. USB cable just fell right off. So I think that's why the front USB wasn't working. Oh, this is an IDE DVD drive. That's not good. Plus the floppy drive, that's no good. Let's get all that out of there. And let me get my screwdriver out. There we go. Better take the USB dongle out for the keyboard and mouse, or I'll forget that. So let's get the graphics card out of here. This is the ATI X300 from back in the day. He's not gaming, so a graphics card to him doesn't really matter. As long as, his monitor can display his desktop, he's good to go. What else are we plugged into? We're plugged into the board, here and here. Is that everything on the power supply? I do believe it is. Let's go ahead and get this power supply pulled out of here. Now it's probably going to fall when I take that last screw out. If you have power supplies mounted on the top of your case, always put a hand in to catch it before you take out the last screw, or it could fall and damage components in the process. So it looks like I haven't disconnected everything. It looks like perhaps one of these fans is hooked up. So let me grab my wire cutters and we'll get those nylon zip ties cut off. Still a lot of dust back here, even after hitting it with the leaf blower. Look at all the dust. So the dust gets into the fan bearings. Living in Las Vegas or Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, it's a very dusty environment and very low humidity, so the dust is just all in the air. There's nothing to weigh the dust down other than the rare occasion when it rains. And that's why generally we like the rain here, is it cleans our air. So if you have allergies and things, it's always a good sign when it rains that you're going to be able to breathe again, at least for a couple days until the dust builds back up. All right, so what do we have? We've got a fan right there. Take that out. And we'll pull the IDE cable. We don't use these anymore. When's the last time you've seen one of these? That's a rolled IDE cable for better cable management than having it flat. This is an old Cooler Master power supply. You can see it still runs well, 500 watts. This is before the days of power efficiency ratings. So a new power supply is actually going to be probably more power efficient, cost him less money to run since he does leave it on 24/7. Still quite a bit of dust on there. And there's the bottom. And again, that's after it was blown out. It was very, very packed with dust. So, you know, this Cooler Master power supply, it's lasted a good long time. I just want to get this off my hands now, so excuse me for a minute. I'm going to jump in here and rinse my hands off. So yeah, it was an interesting way for me to meet Dave. We had both put a bid on the same house, and his bid was higher than mine, and he won the house. And I bought a house around the corner because I knew I liked the design and the layout of the house, so I figured if they're all built the same, there's got to be another one for sale in the neighborhood with the same blueprints. And sure enough, there was. And I saw this guy moving into the house that I originally wanted, and I just thought, I got to say something to this guy. So I was driving by, and I saw he was moving in, and I said, hey, I just want you to know you bought my house. And then he thought it was my house, but I was jokingly stating that, you know, if he didn't counterbid against me, it would have been mine. And he's like, oh, you want to come in and see what I did to it? And I was like, sure, because I did do the walkthrough, obviously, with the real estate agent. And that's how we met. And he's a really cool guy, and he's really into cars. And just, I lived in a neighborhood for 28 years and never knew any of my neighbors, except there was an older couple that lived across the street. And they were nice people, but they weren't friends. You know, they're people you waved at and said hello. Since I moved away, they've become friends. You know, they'll call me for computer help and stuff. But when I lived there, we very rarely, I wouldn't consider them friends. When I bought this house, suddenly I knew the neighbors to my right, I knew the neighbors to my left, I knew Dave from around the corner. And it was really neat because we'd all get together and do little barbecues and play, you know, board games and Pictionary. And I never had that in my life before. And now they all moved away. So Dave is one of those guys. Mike Bauer, Subaru Mike, he moved in next door. That's how I met Mike. And then there was a lady named Shelley that lived across the other way. And then she moved away. And it was such a shame because I never had that in my life. I never had a neighborhood where anybody knew anybody. And it was really neat. And now we're back to not knowing anybody again. Well, I do know the people that bought on this side, and they're nice people, but we don't have a lot in common. This house is vacated and it's up for sale, and then the house at the end of the block is up for sale. A lot of these homes in this neighborhood, during 2008, 2009, there was a big housing burst, a bubble burst, and housing prices plummeted, and these homes were all abandoned, and the mortgages were walked away from, and they were all foreclosed on. So investors bought them and turned them into rental properties, and almost every house on my block is a rental property except mine, which sucks. Because renters, at least in Phoenix, generally speaking, they have no house pride, the yards are a mess, the houses are not maintained. It's not theirs, what do they care? And then they move out, so there's no point getting to know anybody because they're not going to be here very long. So part of that may be because I was in the price range I'm at, and if I'd buy a more expensive house, I'd be around maybe others more like me, for lack of a better explanation. But you can see these friendships have lasted. Dave has since moved to Las Vegas. Mike moved to Flagstaff. Now he's moved back into Glendale, where I am, but he's like 8 or 9 miles away. But still, we hang out, and we're still friends. Shelley, the neighbor this way, she moved to Prescott or Payson, which is much further, and it's just not convenient to visit. We have no reason to be up there. And that friendship has kind of faded out, unfortunately. Not for any reason other than distance, you know, but that's life. All right, so let's see what we can do here let's take this fan out too. Let's just see if we can replace everything. Remember, you take the last screw out, the part's gonna fall. So when you work on these systems, to prevent any damage, always make sure to hold on to one of the parts when you take that last screw out. Okay, what else? I'm going to pull this DVD drive out of here. Oh, come on. Take this other side panel off. Put that with the other one. That's good. And the floppy drive cable can go away. We don't want that. That's our front fan. That's the floppy drive I don't care about. These are our two cables for the RAID controller. And that's the CPU power fan. So we can pull the motherboard now. Let's go ahead and do that. You see, I start at the bottom because it'll be easier to take the last screw out while having a hand on the board to keep it from falling. It is for me anyway. That's just a post. Here we go. Wow, that dust is crazy. Well, that little post really holds it on there. There it is. So here's the old motherboard for you guys that didn't get to see it nice and close up. There's a little lesson of there's history right there. Let's turn it that way. You can read the make and model and get all your info. And you know, all these YouTube channels, all these YouTube tech channels, I should say, they always have to show the latest and greatest, and the people that leave comments are like, well, you should have used this other high-end part instead of that high-end part. But the reality is, being a computer technician, it's pretty rare you're going to need to work on anything that new. Generally, those things don't have problems. All right, so that's that. Oh, I was going to take this DVD drive out. Two more screws back here. Whew, look how dusty that is. Wow. I bought this at a company called Technology Partners in Phoenix. I was buying all my parts locally before embracing Newegg and Amazon for trusting parts to be delivered without damage. And TPI has not been doing well. Technology Partners was the name of the company, and I used to buy all my parts there. But because they're a small company, you know, they didn't have the inventory or the selection that you could get off Newegg, and I was really ordering more from Newegg than Amazon. And eventually Amazon sort of caught up with inventory and competitive pricing too. And haven't looked back, really. It's great to have a selection of literally dozens and dozens of motherboards versus a selection of 4 or 5 from the local vendor. The only thing that was great about a local vendor is if you did have a problem, I would just take it back. I would get in the car, I would drive over there, give them the part back, and I would get another part the same day, right? Well, right then and there, swap it out, and you'd be right back in business helping a customer. Now, it's very rare that I have to send parts back, but when I do, it just adds a couple days delay, and the customers can either wait or they can pay me more money so that I can just order another part or go pick up a part locally. I hate to do that, again, for warranty reasons. And generally everybody's good with that. And I like to have some spare parts. You know, spare power supplies, they don't really depreciate in value. So that's a safe investment. Spare computer cases is a safe investment. Again, they sell pretty much for the same amount of money now as they did 10 years ago. And things like RAM motherboards, solid state drives, all those prices are all coming down all the time. CPU prices are coming down. So to buy those, to have them on hand doesn't make sense because you will lose money on it. Or your customer's gonna say, why are you charging me so much when I can go to the store and buy it for a lot less? And then you have to explain to the customer, I bought this 6 months ago and it wasn't that price 6 months ago, and I'm gonna take a loss if I sell it to you for less than I paid. And if I paid with it with a credit card and I paid interest on it, so I paid a lot more than just that price. And it's just the balance of running a business, honestly. The gentleman Z Modem, I got your contribution. Thank you for that. In fact, I'm going to make you a moderator if I can get my mouse to work. There you go. You should be good to go. And you can see there's a gentleman named Brian. Thank you for your contribution that I received through TechVets, and a gentleman named Justin. I know Z Modem's one of those two, I think. So thank you guys for that. I do appreciate your support. It means a lot. It enables me to do a lot more videos. It lets me, instead of reaching out to companies and asking them to send me parts to review, I can just buy what I want to buy and review it. And that's just a lot more freedom. So there's the case, and I think that we just need to retire this case, is what I think. Let's just get rid of it. I'm gonna just set it down here. And you know, I really did love the look of that case. I love that jet turbine sort of thing on the front. And it had a door on it. But like I said, all case doors, the customers always break them. Even little tiny case doors that cover just like the USB ports, you see those break all the time. So I try to avoid any kind of a case with a case door on it. There's a couple other reasons. I've gone into it in past videos where, you know, if the case door swings open to the right and you've got the computer on the left, you're basically opening the door into your legs or towards you, and it's blocking your ability to access whatever the door is covering. So I'm very much against case doors. And I gave a good example when I did there's a build called the Digital Audio Workstation build, where I built a pair of computers. One's basically called a master and one's a slave for a digital audio workstation. And the case door broke as I was talking about why I don't like case doors. It broke on camera. But the case, it was the hinge that broke, and the case came with extra hinges. And then I sort of had to make the point that, you know why it comes with extra hinges? Because the hinges break all the time. So it just emphasized my point. Look how dirty that is. I mean, this was after it was blown out with the leaf blower. Look at that. And these fans are inexpensive. There's no sense trying to recycle them. Just get rid of them. What do you think of ADATA SSD? They got 1 terabyte for around 126. That's what I have right here. That's exactly what this is. And that's why I have it. At the time, there were 134 with a limit of 2, so I bought 2. Even though I didn't need them, I figured something like this was bound to happen, or I'll find a use for it. It was too good of a price to pass up. And I haven't had them a week, and I'm already selling one to Dave here. It's a perfect solution for him. It's a budget SSD. It's not the fastest one you can buy, but at the same time, it's very much worth what they charge for it. You pay less for this than you would for one that's faster. But if you have an older system anyway, it would be a waste of money to put the faster drive in it. You're probably not even going to notice the difference other than in benchmarking software. So if you're running a hard drive now, moving to any solid state drive is worth doing. Guarantee it. But yes, if you want to buy the fastest drive, we would assume you have a more modern computer, right? That would make sense. All right, now I know I've got a spare case. These, of course, they're $200. I can never get enough of these. I've got one around here somewhere. Let me just meander around my house until I find it. Ah, here we go. Got one right here. I knew I had one. And that just means I'll have to order another one. And, you know, if I'm gonna give this over to Dave, then I'll have to replace it, but that's okay. Punch out, Lyle. Coming through. All right, let's get this. I'm not telling Dave I'm doing this. He's going to be surprised. I hope he doesn't mind. But he'll have front port USB. He won't have to worry about a case door. It shouldn't be as dusty because it won't have as many fans, and he doesn't need all those fans. And he'll have a faster motherboard, even though it's not modern. It's more modern than what he's got. And I'm not going to charge him anything. He can just have this. He's a friend. And he's gone on video for me, and I'll make money from the video, plus the contributions you guys have made during the video. I think I think it's the right thing to do, right? I'll make him buy me dinner. There we go. Ooh, I need another hand. There we go. These are the instructions. They go right there. Yes, the 200R is boring. You're absolutely right. You know what else is good about boring? Consistency is boring. Reliability is boring. You know what's not boring? Having to diagnose and fix things and figure out how things go together, because there's a certain panel that only goes in a certain way and requires a certain screw, and if you don't have it, you're, to not make a pun, you're screwed. None of those problems with the Corsair 200R. It's good and boring, which is exactly what most customers want. So I'll take boring. I don't see that as a bad thing. Okay. Because boring means uneventful, and customers want uneventful machines. They don't want to have to call me for help and support all the time. Just like you talked about, you know, I don't want to know how it works, I just want to use it. A lot of people are that way with their cars. They don't want to know how a car works, they want to put gas in it and go. All right, there's one side panel. I just realized I didn't take the I/O shield out, did I, for the other board? I better get that out of there before I forget. So this is the old I/O shield, and we'll put that with the old motherboard over here. Keep those together. New I/O shield can go in. Just like so. Come on. I bet you guys love watching me struggle with this, because I usually make it look so easy. There we go. That's in. Let me grab a power supply. I've got that EVGA 430 watt on my tech bench, and he can have that. I just got rid of all my old power supplies. I've had these old power supplies sitting on the floor of my office for about 5 or 6 years, and I finally last week said, you know what, I'm tired of looking at these old things. I don't even want to use them. There was an old Thermaltake 500 watt, there was an old Antec 500 watt, and they had the fans, you know, the old school style. I said, I'm never going to use them. I might as well give them to a friend of mine who recycles stuff. And not 4 days have gone by and I already could have used one. But that's okay. He's better off with a modern power supply anyway. You know, a new one. He's worth new. It's okay. He's worth it. These are all the hardware screws and stuff we need. It's every new case comes with the screws. That's why you always want to save these, because in the future when you make modifications to your computer, you're going to need the screws that the case came with. Some screws are proprietary to the case. Corsair 200R isn't, but like that end case M1, I don't know what I did with the bag of screws, and now I can't change anything out in it because they're these really weird looking screws. You just can't get them anywhere. And I'm sure it's around here somewhere, but it's not where it's supposed to be, and my OCD has failed me. Should have some different screws for that. I could use the screws that came in the bag, but I just prefer the hex head screws on the power supply. They're just a little sturdier. And I'm sure I've got some in my spares somewhere here. Should be a... Here we go. It's exactly what I was looking for. See, when everything's where it's supposed to be, it's pretty quick to find what I need. Why is there only 3 screws in this bag? There should be 4. All right, well, I got 3. Let's start with 3 and we'll find a 4th one. What do I do with my screwdriver? Here we go. I gotta find another one. I can't believe there's only 3 screws in that bag. That's really weird. Why would I ever need just one? Well, I must have used one. It wouldn't have sent me one with 3 in it. See, now I'm in a hurry because I got a lot of work to do. Dave's coming back and then we're gonna go eat dinner, and I expect to have his system done so he can drive back home tomorrow. And I would like him to be pleasantly surprised. Come on, where's my screws? Is this it? Is this it? This is it. I'm gonna take one out of there. It's gonna leave me with 3 again. Maybe that's how it happened. All right. Yeah, this one's got 4 screws in it. It's only gonna have 3 now. I just like to tighten this down a little bit more than my electric screwdriver does it because it's a big, heavy power supply, and yeah, look how much more that turned. And we don't want it to break free, even though he's driving it back. It's not like it's going through one of the shipping companies because they can be rough with stuff, but better to be safe, that's all. All right, so these are gonna be extras. All go together over there. Wow, all this dust on my counter. Whoa. Let's move this over. Cardboard box can go there. Seems like a contribution for $1 was submitted. Thank you from whoever that was. We're gonna push all of these out to the other side. And I'm gonna lay this down so I can put the motherboard in. I'm sorry you guys are not gonna get a good view, but it'll just be a minute. I always put the motherboard in on an angle. And this I/O shield has lots of grounding straps, which sucks, because they like to bend under, which is what it's doing right now. Good. Okay. Rats. It looks like the mounting points are in the wrong place. Yep. I'm gonna have to add 2 standoffs. I hope they give me 2 standoffs because I need 2. Oh, look. That's exactly, oh, it's not the right bag. That's exactly how many they gave me. So clearly Corsair knows that there are motherboard configurations where you need 2 more, but by default it's not included in the case because the vast majority of modern motherboards don't use them. These are all 5mm, so I have a tool somewhere. Here it is. This is just a 5mm socket on the end of a ratcheting driver, and I just dedicate this tool for that one purpose. And so I'm gonna place one of these in here like this, and I'm sorry you guys can't see what I'm doing, but again, there's no fast way for me to set up another camera and show you, but I'm just putting a standoff in to line up with the holes on the motherboard. This is very important. You always want to make sure you're using as many of the mounting holes on the board as possible. But you may have cases that lacking a hole line up, but that's fine. You don't, you know, if it's not there, it's not there, but use what you can. These darn grounding straps. Ugh. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now I'm going to grab the screws for the motherboard, which are, they're a coarse threaded short screw, and they look like that. Mike Ladd has contributed $5. He says, I bought that ADATA SSD you recommended. I'll make my contribution to the tech. Oh, thank you. I think you'd be happy with the ADATA SSD. You know, I've been buying ADATA flash drives over the years, and I haven't had any bad ones. So I think ADATA deserves a little more attention, especially when you're looking at budgets, you know? When you're not looking for the highest performing part, because you know the highest performing part is often difficult to get, especially when they first come out, because a lot of the enthusiasts want it right away. They're always expensive, and the price differential for the performance differential may not make sense. You know, if you're going to get 20 megabytes per second faster on sequential reads for an additional $40, I don't think it's worth it. But to each his own. Buy what suits you. I'm just getting all the screws for the motherboard started. Takes quite a few of them. There we go. Good. 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 All right, board is secured. So now we can put that back up on its feet. There we go. Voila. And then the extra screws, we definitely want to put those away. Again, a magnetized screwdriver even helps, just picking up all the extra screws. Just pick up a bunch of them. And we'll just put those right in the bag. Get in there. There we go. Thank you for your cooperation. And we'll put that with the rest of them. All right. Is this an old motherboard or a new board? This is a new old board. I did a video with my father, which still sits in editing undone, but the first 3 parts are me and my father building a computer together. This was the motherboard I gave him back in the day. And so when there was nothing wrong with it, it was just slow, and he's doing a lot of video editing of his cruises that he takes. You know, Dave doesn't do any of that. And furthermore, it's still got more memory and a faster CPU than Dave's old board. He had a Q6600. I think this is an i5. We'll find out when we get it booted up. I can't remember what it is, if I'm honest. I honestly don't know, but I know it's better than what Dave has. Like, a lot better. So it's totally worth doing. So there's our 8-pin power. We'll run that right up in the back here, just like that. And then we'll plug it on, let's see, oh, this only needs a 4-pin power connector, which is always welcome. And the clip goes towards the CPU, which is weird and kind of backwards. The clip should go on the other side where people with bigger fingers will be able to reach in there. But to unclip this, you'd have to get your finger in between the CPU. It's just, the clip should be on this side is what I'm saying for that purpose. Just another reason, you know, I wanted to try EVGA boards. I like all their other stuff, but Yeah, I'm just disappointed with their motherboards. Like I said, it's been a reliable board. I can't complain about reliability, but it's been abandoned, no BIOS updates, so, you know, whatever the Spectre and Meltdown stuff is being ignored by EVGA, and I don't know, I think that kind of sucks. It wasn't like it was a bargain basement board. I mean, it wasn't expensive, but it wasn't the cheapest thing you could buy either. So, and EVGA does such a good job with supporting their other products. I think if they're not going to provide the same kind of support that they do with their power supplies and their video cards, maybe they shouldn't be making it. All right, I think I have a spare DVD drive around here he can have. Optical drives are like 15 bucks these days, and he even says he doesn't recall when the last time was he used it. Maybe I shouldn't even give him one at all, you know? Maybe I'd be doing him a favor by saying, you know what? If you need a DVD drive, go buy a USB one and be done with it. Ah, heck with it. Let's give him one. I've had one brand new sitting on my shelf for years. Why am I saving it if not for a moment just like this? Right? That's installed. That's how difficult that was. And we'll throw a couple screws in there just to secure it. We don't really have to, but it isn't going to hurt. So we can put one screw on each side just to lock that DVD in place. His SSD can go right in here. Actually, I could put it over here. That's installed. How much easier it is to work on a modern case. Cable management's there, you know, it's going to look a lot neater. So only need 2 of these. Let's put one screw right there. There's one. We'll put the other screw over here, like so. Perfect. Perfect. That's not going anywhere. All right. Front umbilicals, we can get these out of the way. They're easy. I like how everybody's intimidated by the wiring, but it's so simple. I guess we'll bring these in right through here. And we've got, let's see, where's our hard drive LED at? Reset switch, no. Power switch, power LED, no. Trying to untangle them now. Power switch, there's only one left. Gotta be the hard drive LED. It is. And this should be the same layout as all other boards, but I can't really see very well in there. So I'm gonna get my reading glasses and a flashlight so I can see in there. And let's plug these on real quick. Oh, this doesn't say anything. Another downside of EVGA, but I'm sure it's the standard where you put the hard drive LED on the bottom 2 pins and then put the power LED, which is right here, right over the hard drive LED. Always have the positive cable on the edge. There we go. Bada boom, bada bing. Big bada boom. Then we've got the reset switch, which goes right beside the hard drive LED. And finally, the power switch, which goes right above the reset switch. Now, switches don't have positives and negatives. Even if they may be labeled as such, you can ignore that. Okay. Good. Good, good. Wait a minute, before we get too far. Does it have USB 3.0 on it? Oh no, there's no USB 3. Aw. Gosh Gosh darn it. It's got USB 2. I wonder if I have a USB 3 to 2 adapter. I mean, I'd like Dave to have USB 3, but they have adapters for internal USB connectors to convert a USB 3 to a USB 2. I have to check my spare parts and see if I've got one. USB 3 to 2. There's adapters. These are fan adapters, power splitters. I'm in the right cabinet. It's not in there. There's one other place it could be. No, that's all SATA. What about here? Do I have one in here? Gosh darn it. Thought I had one, but I must have used it. I don't use them very often. Man, I got all kinds of adapters. VGA to DVI, Molex to SATA, SATA splitters, 3-pin to 4-pin fan headers. Nothing. Nothing for... Shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. All right, well, there's a couple different approaches I can take here. So that board's USB 2. How old is it? It's only USB 2. Oh, and these grounding straps got caught underneath the HDMI out. Yes, I can put a USB 3 card in, but will it have a front panel? You know what, maybe it will. You know, Silverstone sent me these to test, to review, and I did a review on them a while back. I don't know how many of you guys saw it, and I've never had any use for them. But I think I just found a use for them today. I've got two different ones. They're both PCI Express. Not sure what the difference is. One's got an internal 19-pin header. Oh, this one doesn't have an internal header, so I need this one. Okay. This can work. I can make this work. All right, we're going to revisit this problem a little bit later. I want to see what the specs are on this board before we get too far, and I got to fix this grounding strap issue, because that's very upsetting. Basically, it means I got to take the board back out and reseat it again. And better to do that now than when I've cabled everything up. Okay. So those grounding straps have to be bent up a little bit. That's better. Stay. Stay. Doing this upright is the hard way. I am trying to show you as much of this as possible, which makes my job a little more difficult, but that's why they pay me the big bucks, right? Here we go. Not a big deal having to take the board out and reseat it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, no, building is fun. Another excuse to take the board out. Man, go for it. It's totally cool. All right, so we're gonna get to this in a minute. Move that over there, move that over there. And everything else looks good here. Just push that out. Front port audio, we can plug in front port audio. This cable always has to go down into this corner, so I always try and run it next. There's a hole by the power supply, so I always try and run it right into that hole. Just try and hide that cable as much as possible, because it's gonna go all the way over here. Actually, on this board, it goes up a little bit, right there. So that's our front port headphone and microphone jacks. I don't need to hook any of these up at this point. We can power it on and see what the specs are on this thing. MST3K has contributed $5. He says, overclock it. He doesn't need it overclocked. He's not going to know the difference. He knows it's going to be faster than what he has, right? Making sure that all my grounding straps are hidden and installed appropriately, and they are. Everything definitely looks better now. If anything, it sits a little too far down. That's okay. It's all right. Let's see what happens here. I guess I have to turn the power supply on. All right, here we go. Smoke test. Ooh, I'm getting beeps. You know, it's entirely possible that this CPU does not have a built-in GPU. This might be old enough. Let me grab Dave's old GPU. I mean, why not? It's good enough for him then, it'll be good enough for him now, right? And where does it go? Top slot, top bay. You. Remember, I have switched the power supply into the off position. You definitely do not want to be plugging or unplugging any components into your motherboard with power connected, or at least with the power supply in the on, the switch in the on. Even though the system's off, there's always power going through it. And it's a great way to short circuit something, and then you're going to have a really bad day. All right, let's see if it still wants to beep at us. Now, switch on, power. It's not that. Let's reseat the RAM. Tough to take the RAM out without dropping it. Again, doing this with the system laying flat would be smarter. But these aren't exactly valuable parts I'm worried about. What am I missing? I'm missing something. Try one RAM at a time. That's a good idea. You gonna turn on? Hello? Got nothing. Okay. It's not working. Let's move this RAM module to the other side. Try again. Okay, nope. Same thing. I feel like I'm moving so quickly I'm forgetting something obvious. Power's in, yeah. It seemed to be RAM related. I know we didn't have any RAM problems when we took it apart, so I don't know why we'd have any now. I am definitely missing something. It's probably something obvious and I'm just working too quickly. Could it be because I don't have a keyboard and mouse? It shouldn't be. Let's plug a keyboard and mouse into it. No, I knew it wouldn't be that. I had to try it. Had to try it. Well, that's a new one. EVGA says it's the video. Yeah, that was my first inclination, but adding a video card didn't do anything for us. It's fully seated. Unless it's not compatible. You know what, I've got a different graphics card. Let's try a different one. This one's pretty ancient. They should be backwards compatible, but let's just see. Let's find another graphics card I can use. Gotta have something back here. Oh, here we go. Let's try this. This at least has HDMI on it. Whatever it is. Oh, Asus. That ought to bring back some memories. It'll focus. How about now? Yay, there it goes. GT520. But hey, it has HDMI. Yeah, I don't know if if the CPU has graphics on it or not. I can't remember, but it's not going to hurt to just slap another card in here. It's pretty quick, and we'll just check it real fast and see if it makes any difference. It's immediately, I mean, it's beeping before it even tries to post. Very unusual. Well, nothing's ever easy, right? You're gonna make me work for it today. I'm up for it. I'm up for the challenge. That looks fine. That looks fine. That's fine. We can clear the CMOS here, I guess, if we drop these two down. And let's turn it back on again. Keep the video card in there for now. Oh, it won't even turn on that way. That's good to know. Move the CMOS jumper back, turn it back on. Won't even shut off. Oh, there is a standoff up there. Looks like I missed a screw there, but that's not going to make a difference for this problem. Is the power supply for that plugged in? Yes, it is. Fan's okay. Very interesting. Strange. Let's try some good suggestions coming out of the chat. It does feel like a power delivery issue, but that is on. You can switch this one out. This does fit on kind of funky. It's definitely on that time. Nope. Nope. I know the power supply is good. Nothing appears obvious. Well, that's a bummer. What have I got myself into? So one of the keys in being a computer technician is never giving up. You've got to stick with something and see it all the way through, and that means some nights you may be up very late, especially when there's a time crunch, when something has to be done. It means skipping food, skipping eating, or grabbing something to go, or having somebody deliver food so you can keep working and not interrupt the workflow. I'm going to check the battery and see if that's any good. Sometimes you can get weird problems like this. I don't think that's going to be a problem, but it's only going to take a second to test it. Get my cheap battery tester here. Let's throw it on here and see what it says. Oh wow. Look at that. I'd say that battery has had better days. Let's chuck this battery. Let's find us another battery. I ordered like 100 of these batteries off eBay, and so what I've got is very, very old. But they do have a long expiration. In fact, here are some of them here. It's just cheap batteries. I don't like to buy cheap batteries, but when it comes to these kind of button cell batteries, they're usually pretty good. They're the CR2032s. They're what computers use. Let's make sure that this battery is good. Not very. Wow. All right, let's work our way through the package. Let's try this one. Any better? Ooh, well, not so much. Let's try the next one. Wow, they're all about the same. I think time has just sort of worn them down. Let me find some more. Gosh. Inventory, folks, inventory. You buy this stuff and it sits on a shelf and it just goes bad, even though you never used it. And that's the delicate balance when you run a computer repair shop, is what do you keep in stock and what do you make customers have to wait for, right? Customers are always in a hurry, they want it done quick, and it's not the matter of you not having the time, it's a matter of you having to wait for the part. So these are more CR2032 batteries. Throw all these out, we'll just get rid of them. Okay, come on now. Are you gonna work? Hello? Oh, much better. Okay. Okay, so that's gonna go back in. switch on. Well, it was wishful thinking. Okay. Well, the battery did need to be replaced regardless, so we know it's not the battery. So those can go back. And I got dust all over my hands from those battery packages that have been just sitting up there for years. That's the other problem. You tell a customer, I think that's going to solve your problem. The customer waits for you to order the part. The part comes in, you put it in, and guess what? It didn't help, and then you waited for nothing, and you ceased diagnosing any further for no reason at all. So there's something wonky happening here, and I don't know what. It's very strange. So I say we move to a different motherboard, maybe one that's got USB 3 on it, and just try and figure this out another day. I will put this connector on one more time just to do it. So the only other thing I can think to do is to take the board out of the case entirely. You know what? Let me take that header off. Let's try it again without the front port audio. Even that can cause a problem. Won't even turn. Oh, there it goes. Same problem. Okay. Okay. I think I've done my due diligence on this. Something, perhaps just having it sit around and collect dust has caused some damage somehow. I don't know. No idea. So I'll put this graphics card back. Let's put that here. And I don't think the motherboard's bad. Something's just probably not seated right. It may have just settled, you know what I mean, from not being used. Something may have, for lack of a better explanation, may have just had a little trip crawl. Chip crawl. It's kind of like a pub crawl, but not as fun. But when I took the board out, it worked. I do have to say, when it comes to these used parts, I don't really handle them with care. Despite my name, I don't really care about old parts. I take them, and if they work, good. If they don't, I give them to a buddy of mine who recycles, and he melts, he basically strips the golds off of them and recycles it. All right, let's do this. Let's move this stuff over here. Grab the power cables. Oh, microphone fell off. Okay. Let's just do it this way. Let's put this this in here. Get it out of my way. Let's move these two drives over here. Not too close to the edge. You still have to pull the data off of those, so there's still, can't be slapping those around just yet. Okay, CPU power first. Good. I need a power switch. You see, some of these computer repairs you can't do yourself unless you have all the spare parts that a proper shop would have. And if you make the investment to buy all the parts, you'll end up with enough parts practically to build another computer, which leaves you with no more parts again, which is fine if you're only going to do it once. But shops, they do it all the time, so it's in their best interest to always have parts on hand so they can quickly diagnose and part swap like this. Here we go. So same thing out of the box. We don't have a grounding problem. Very interesting. I can reseat the CPU just for the heck of it. I don't think it's going to make any difference at all. Let's just reset it. I'm not going to reapply any thermal compound or anything like that. Remember, I am always turning the power supply to the off position. And remember, the clock is ticking. The longer it takes me, you know, I still have data transfer to do and drivers to load, and he's going to be back in a couple hours expecting to pick his system up. So the pressure is on. CPU's in there good. Seated well. Socket looks good. Nothing looks bad. I can't read what the CPU is because there's thermal compound and I don't want to reapply it. If I get it working, I'll reapply it, but no point in doing that if our system doesn't work. At that point, thermal compound's worth more. All right, so where do we want to do this? Let's put it on this way. Rotate these back. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? We can even turn this on without that. We don't need that. Let's try it and see what happens. Switch on. No. No difference. Well, if that doesn't make any difference, I can wipe the thermal compound off and see what the CPU is. Well, it's shiny. I know that much. Switch is off. Good. So here's our CPU, which is what? Come on, focus. It's an Intel Core i5. Yeah, you know what? This may not have graphics built into it. Anybody want to look that up and confirm it for me? Core i5 760. Come on, who's going to help me out? Did a Core i5 760 have a GPU? Not sure if it did or not. It doesn't. So it does need a video card. All right. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let's try something completely different. What can we use here? That's not going to work. How about... I have this old GTX 550 Ti, which is far more than Dave would need, but let's just try. Socket feels funny. Last try. This is all I got. Ain't happening, folks. It ain't happening. Rats. I know this board used to work. I don't know what happened to it. See, and there's another problem. The release to let the graphics card out has got to be pushed this way instead of on the other side, which makes it almost impossible to do when it's in the case. And I don't want to break it, although at this point, what difference does it make? I still don't want to break it. I don't know how they expect you to do that. See if I stab myself with a screwdriver before the end of the day. Yeah, that shouldn't be there. That's almost impossible with a graphics card there. I don't know how you're supposed to reach in there and pull that. So that ain't happening. Okay. I have other ideas. I know those boards don't work. I don't think those boards work. Pretty sure this is a dead board. Might be the same socket though. This is an old, I think this is like a G87M or something like that. Z87 D3H. I don't think this chip is compatible. Let's see if it fits, it works. All right, let's see if it fits. I'm sure you guys can probably look it up in the chat faster than I'll be able to test it. Sockets look identical to the naked eye. Nope. It's a different chip. I don't think this board works anyway. It's a different chip. I wonder if it could be the chip. How much time do I want to spend on it? I have other ideas. This is a Z87. You're starting to see a theme here, right? And this is my old editing machine that I gave to my nephew that we recently upgraded. I know it's only got 6 gigs of RAM, but maybe this is more RAM and I can just move the RAM. Well, people are on the chat room debating whether or not the beep code is a RAM or a video error, but either way, I've tried different RAM, and I've tried, well, I've moved the RAM, and tried each individual stick, and I've tried 3 different video cards, and it's not making any difference, so it can't be the RAM or the video card, because otherwise we'd have something, right? Just put that there for now. Let's make sure this boots. I'm sure this boots. I'd be curious if I can swap the RAM on it. So let's make sure it boots first. There's one connector. This actually uses both of the CPU. It's an 8-pin connector. Or at least that one goes on the outside edge for the clip, which is good. Clip should always be on the edges so you can reach your hand, and this also has a USB 3 header, which is better anyway. The header is better. Let's throw a graphics card on there. Not a graphics card, I mean let's plug the monitor in to the onboard graphics, which is all Dave is going to need. It's already got gigabit, so he doesn't need that. Let me grab my dongle for my wireless keyboard and mouse, which I left in the old board. And let's plug it in. Well, I don't need to. Yeah, let's plug it in. Why not? Let's plug it in there. It's good enough. Flip the switch. Oh, I got to give it power first. Let's give it some power. Flip the switch on. All right, here we go again. Hello? Hello? Switch is on. It's got juice. Am I on the wrong set of pins? What is happening? Why is it dead? Oh, it is a different set of pins. Asus changed the layout. Hello, computer. Hello? Anybody home? Well, turned off. You gonna turn back on? Yeah, turn back on. What are you doing? Anytime now. Post screen would be nice. Thank you. Was that so hard? All right. So this is a Core i5 4690K, which is a lot better of a chip for him. We are running DDR3 memory, but it looks like only 6 gigs of memory, which isn't terrible. I wonder what the other one has. Is the other one DDR3 or DDR2? Let's see. Yeah, this is DDR3. I think this is 8. Once again, you got to flip the board, flip the power off before switching any components. Good. Start with the slots closest to the CPU first. There's one. You gonna play nice today? Let's see if it still boots. Oh, there's a switch on the board. All that effort, there's a power button on the board. Ah, God. I don't need these right now. Good, good. 8 gigs, much better. All right, now we're cooking with gas. All right. Oh, you guys missed your dinner, huh? You need the food. All right, I'll get you some food. Hold on a second. You're not starving to death. I don't care. You know you're not starving. I gotta change the I/O shield. Let's get that out of there. Let's keep that with that. And I've got an I/O shield for this somewhere. Yeah, there we go. That's all right. Dave's got a better board this way. Much better board. Wouldn't you agree? Can remove that. And remove this. And remove this. Power supply connectors always fits tight on the boards for some reason. Okay, now am I going to have to move standoffs again? Probably. Two across the middle. That one's going to come out. The two I just put in have to come back out now because they're in the standard position for a more modern motherboard, which is what we just put in. So that one and that one can come out. Alright, so that was all for nothing. Let's take this power cord out of here. Set that over there. Put these glasses with the other ones. Put that in there. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Alright. We'll pretend that we're doing this for the first time. This is why I don't like working with used parts. They're very unpredictable. And even after you know, let's say you install it and they work, you deliver to the customer, and then a short time later, if they have any problem, they're going to expect a warranty, you know? And if you don't honor the warranty, they're going to suggest quite often that you knew it was bad when you sold it to them and you just were taking them for a sucker. And that's no way to get a reputation that's good in this business. Unless you have a lot of money for marketing, their best marketing is word of mouth, and it can also be your worst nightmare. Because a happy customer will tell a few people, but an upset customer will tell everybody, right? So let me put this back in. And Dave's a friend. He would know if there was a, you know, he's not going to hold me to the fire like a regular random customer would, but I still want to make sure I take care of him. Obviously, I want to make sure I take care of everybody. But friends and family especially, you don't want to try and test those relationships if you can avoid it. We have enough stress in our lives as it is. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I'm going to be struggling with this microphone. As I lean over the counter, it's grabbing the cable and yanking it. So it keeps falling off, and I apologize for that. Obviously, it doesn't happen when I wear a nice button-down shirt. I wanted to be comfortable today. This is how I'm most comfortable, as if you didn't know that by now. Okay, let's hook up these LEDs one more time. Let me grab my glasses again. One more time on the front port umbilicals. Plug my USB header back in for the keyboard and mouse. All right, what do we got? Let's start with reset. This is a weird layout that ASUS did. I don't like this at all. They should be following the standard, although this is older. So reset, and then the speaker goes above that if you had a speaker. And then the power switch goes next to the next 2 pins, which is right here. And then the hard drive LED goes at the very end, so that stays the same. I don't know why ASUS decided that they were better than everybody else and didn't have to follow industry standard. It's very upsetting when a company thinks they're better than everybody else. I really don't like that. Not a fan of Apple. Okay. Positive and negative. Positive always goes to the edge. So 1 goes there and it's split, which is why the cable is split. It's actually a 3-pin. Some motherboards do that. This is one of those. You know when people say don't be that guy, don't be that motherboard. If you're a manufacturer of motherboards, don't make one like that. Follow the standards. I don't care if you got a big name brand. You're not bigger than anybody else to design your own rules. That's messed up, man. That is messed up. Okay, 8-pin power connector one more time. Pull the slack out through here. This up there. Come on, work with me. There we go. And that's going to go on this way. You know what? I don't have time for this today. You need to cooperate and go to your new home and be happy. Be happy that somebody loves you. Don't be picky. Take what you can get. There's my audio cable. That's going to go in a more standard position, right? Now what? That ain't it. Okay, I know this has an audio. Oh, so ASUS put 2 connectors, one right above the other, so it looks like it's a bigger connector. Again, bad design, ASUS. No wonder why I got rid of this board. Horrible layout. Horrible. ASUS should be ashamed of themselves. I wouldn't even show my face. That's just terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible design. Okay. We should be working now. Yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. Let's put this cover back on. I feel confident. I feel confident. Go on, feel me. You'll see. You feeling me? See what I did there? That's not in. Stay. That's better. Thank you. Thank you. Come again. All right, here we go. Video. We're going to plug in video here. We'll just use VGA. It's good enough for now. Wireless keyboard mouse plugged in. Give me the power cable. Give me the power. All right, here we go. Third board's the charm. Power light on, power light's on. Fan spinning, CPU fan. Wow, it's dead silent. It's a good start. Here we go. Not sure why it turns on, it shuts off, and then it turns on again. That's another weird ASUS thing with some of these boards. Much better. Now, just for grins, let's hook up his optical, I'm sorry, not his optical. Let's hook up his new SSD and see if it'll boot without any modification to Windows. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? If I didn't have to do anything special there, that would make my day. Be nice for something to go my way today. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be nice for something to go my way? I think it would be. Here we go. Boot, 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 boot. Yeah, you got to turn yourself off and then turn yourself back on again. Thank you. Let's go. I got all day. Move it, move it. Boot. Please enter BIOS setting to recover. Fine, whatever. You happy? Now save and exit. Shortcut, no. Normal, fine, whatever. English, advanced. How do I exit? Boot menu, I don't want. Usually it's F10, yeah. Save changes and reset. Yes. Come on now. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. Are we going to get a blue screen? Or are we going to get window? Oh, wah, wah. All right, so that's happening because we're probably in AHCI mode, which we should be, but the Windows configuration wasn't configured for AHCI mode. That would be my guess. Let's go into the BIOS and check. We can use the reset button, make sure that that works, and it does. Just keep hitting delete, and we'll get back into that BIOS again. Didn't do it fast enough. Delete, delete, delete. Yeah, let's go to advanced mode. Advanced. SATA configuration is AHCI. I bet you if I take this off and put it in IDE mode, it'll probably boot. And then once I'm in IDE mode, I can make a change to the Windows registry, and then I can change it back to AHCI. Are you going to make a liar out of me? Just launch startup repair? No, start Windows normally. I already got further. There we go. You actually don't have to install any AHCI drivers. You just need to make a little change in the registry, and then you can change, shut the computer down, change the BIOS, and then you're back in business. So right now it's going to redetect a bunch of new hardware and such. So I guess I can feed the dogs. You guys hungry? Oh, you're right there. Dinner. Who wants dinner? Oh yeah, you're hungry. It's an hour past your dinner time. Yeah? You want some food? Bon appetit. And what would you like for your appetizer? I have dog food, or dog food? Dog food, you say, is your favorite? Well, it's your day today, mister. You ready? Enjoy. ATI graphics driver. Well, that's right, because we don't have that installed, and keyboard and mouse driver hasn't loaded yet either, so we'll just let that keep running. There it goes. So we can go into Control Panel under, ooh, look at this thing move. Programs and Features. And let's take the ATI software out. ATI Catalyst, remember that? Uninstall. Yes. Uninstall. Wait, where's my uninstall? Express is fine. Hard drive light's blinking on and off, so that's obviously hooked up correctly. Remember what I said about that earlier. Finish, finish, exit, restart. Let's see how fast this thing boots. You guys got your stopwatches ready? You guys ready for a cookie? You want a cookie? Yeah, you want a cookie. It's your favorite part, your cookies. There's your cookie, and you take yours over here. I don't want you guys eating next to each other. You fight. Good boys. Extra screws can go in the bag. Still loading drivers, so that's not really a fair test of the boot time. I gotta go look at my documentation to remember how to set AHCI mode. It's been such a long time, I can't remember what the registry entry is. It's one little tiny registry entry, and I can't remember, but I've got the website in a bookmark, and I just have to locate it here. It'll just take me a second. The internet sure is making being a technician a lot easier than it used to be, because I used to have a Word document with all this stuff. As I would learn it, I would record it and save it. Now, of course, that's what the internet's for. You can read other people's notes. All right, let's see. Fix stop 7B. Oh, it's XP that does that, not 7. I didn't want it for XP. Windows 7 AHCI registry fix. Let's see what it says. HKey local machine, current control set services, MSHCI, changed the start D word value from 3 to 0. HKey local machine, system current control set. All right, let's try and remember that. I'm gonna have to walk back and forth. HKey local machine. Why did that come up? HKey local machine, current control set, system, current control set. Somebody's got it in there? Services MSC. I think whoever put that in there, thank you. Services MSAHCI. MSAHCI. And start. It's already at 0. What am I missing? Set it to 0. It's already at 0. Gosh darn it. Let's restart it. Back in the BIOS. Go to advanced. This is G-Skill memory. I wonder if it's XMP. Advanced mode. Advanced. CPU config. That looks good. PCH. That's fine. SATA config. Let's go to AHCI. Memory frequency. I don't see any option. DRAM frequency, overclocking, timing control. It's all set to auto. I don't see any XMP options in here. It may not be XMP memory. That's fine. I'm not even going to worry about it right now. Save changes and reset. And let's see what happens. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Didn't even do anything. Thank you for your help. And it wants to restart because it loads drivers for the controller. Dust off my hands. This stuff is so old. But I'm happy to, give it a new home and give it a new life. I mean, it's not doing me any good sitting back there. And like I say, that EVGA board was working fine. I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, it's in Dave's benefit anyway. He'll have a better board. Last thing I need is another one of these, but I'll just put all this away. And this will go in the recycle pile, I guess. I don't know what else to do with it. Same with this RAM can be put away. I'll just stick this with the rest of my RAM. Put that in there like so. We'll use that some other day. Okay. Take a breath. Let's shut her down. Should shut down pretty quick now. Very good. We can hook this rear case fan up. We'll put that. There's a fan header right here, and I just need to replace the zip tie. I'm sorry, the wire tie with a zip tie. And everything is dark and blurry. Ah, I can see. Let's put that right there. And Corsair is kind enough to give us some free nylon zip ties, so let's use one of them to tie up this cable right here. Cable control, as my niece likes to say. Cable control. What you're trying to do when you tie up your cables, you're not only trying to make it look neat, but you want to tie the cable up so that there's not enough slack for the cable to fall into the fan. See, it's hitting, see what I'm saying? It's hitting that. So that's no good, but as long as the cable stays there, we're okay. Ideally, it would tighten up so that it couldn't, you know, when he moves it, when he drives in the car, it's probably gonna bounce around, it's gonna get loose. So that's not the best situation, but I think it's good enough. Only because I'm in a hurry, which is probably gonna cost me more time because, you know, whenever you're in a hurry, you gotta do everything 3 times, as you've witnessed. I have the USB 3 cable to hook up. Let's go ahead and hook up our front port USB 3 right here. And the header is there, so we can come in, let's come in here without making a big mess of our cabling. That's simply going to plug in just like this. Bingo. Done. Front port audio is done. He doesn't need a graphics card. He doesn't need the the Ethernet card anymore. So we're not going to use any of these. So we can wire tie these, and what I'll do is I'll get a big wire tie and I'll tie them down to the bottom. What's great about this versus the modular power supplies is most customers lose their power cables. So a couple of years from now, he brings the system back, we're trying to add another hard drive or something, and I go, where's your power cable? Oh, I don't know. You never gave me any. Yes, I gave you some. Especially in offices where different employees move things, employees come and employees go, and nobody knows where anything is. When you run a hardline power supply like this, it's best for most end users and businesses. And the case has no window, nobody's ever gonna see it. And when you're in there working, you can get in and out quick, and that's what customers want. And you as a business owner want that, so you can help more customers in a day. So with that, that's hooked up, that's hooked up. I have the DVD drive to hook up, so let's do that next. No, we don't use that one. Yeah, that one will work. So let's run this one out here, through here. And then let's bring it up and through, like so. Plug that in. And then I need another SATA cable. Let me grab, I should have another matching SATA cable in black. We can hook the DVD up that way. See all the spare parts I have to go through? You need a lot of them. And if you don't have a place to put them, you end up with a very messy office, and that's why you guys never get to see my office. It's embarrassing. So that's going to go on like so, and then we'll run it out through the side just to keep it looking as clean as possible. And through here, like this, and then we'll just connect it right down here. So the advantage when the manufacturers put the SATA ports on the side is it's much cleaner cable management, but on the other hand, it's kind of a pain in the butt to plug and unplug things. I never hook up the front fan unless there's a video card. There's no reason to have the front fan on. So what I do with the front fans on these, when there's no graphics, discrete graphics, is I just simply take the wire tie off, because there's wires inside of the wire tie, and over time they get brittle, they break, and then you have a piece of raw wire floating around inside your case, and if it gets behind your motherboard, it could short it out and actually hose your system up. So replace that with a plastic zip tie, and then what I'm going to do is cut the little pigtail off of that, like this, and then I'm going to move that into this little hole so it's out of sight and out of mind, so the customer doesn't go, "Did you forget to hook this up?" They won't even notice it. And then I will clean all this cabling up as well a little later. Just want to make sure the cables aren't interwoven. Now is the time to correct any of that. That's our DVD SATA cable, that's our audio cable, that's our 8-pin power. This is trash. Trash is over here. So we're not going to need this video card, we're not going to need this USB card. That can all go over here. We don't need this Ethernet card, we don't need the front bay cover. That can go over here. More spare parts for another day. I don't need the power switch connector anymore, so that can go back so I can find it the next time I need it. And that goes in that drawer. Good. These drawers get stuck. I have to slam them shut. All right. I think this is done. It didn't take too long once I had working parts, right? Just agree with me, it's a lot easier. And then we'll just hit power. Now we should have this fan and that fan. Good, good. Shouldn't be shutting itself off anymore. Should boot right up. It's a good start. You're timing it? Starting Windows. Boom. Oh, that's such an improvement. So I have to go to the ASUS website, download the drivers for Windows 7 for this board. They're all free to download. And that'll include the Intel graphics driver, which is why the screen has the font so big. It's basically in like a safe mode. It's a generic driver. And then that'll be Dave's new machine right there. So I think that'll be good. DVD drive works. Make sure we have C drive and a D drive. I don't see the D. Oh, it just added it right there. Your device is ready to use. Very good. 37.6 gigs free of 138 gigs. So what happened when I used Acronis, it didn't auto resize the partition, which is no big deal. I can go in the control panel and I can go to administrative tools, and then I can go to computer management, and then I can go to disk management, which is right here. And then I can resize that. I don't need to download any partition software. It's all built into Windows now. It has been for some time. Right click, extend volume, click next, click finish. Boom, done, close, close, close. Now when I click on the C drive, or my computer, it says 793 gigs free out of 894 gigs. Did you catch how fast that was? Boom, boom, boom. Right click properties, there's the properties of the C drive. So all of the space is now available to us. I didn't have to install or download any third-party partitioning software. All right, shut her back down. Boom. Okay, I feel better ending the video here. So you know what I'm gonna do now, right? I'm gonna hook his old system back up, and I'm gonna copy the data off of his My Documents folder and stuff from his RAID array onto, you know what I think I'll use? I think I'm gonna use this 256 gig SanDisk drive. Yeah. And I'll put his data on here. And then I'll boot this back up and I'll copy it off as My Documents and his favorites, and that'll all go right back on there. And then he should be good to go. We should be rocking and rolling. Oh, I have to download the drivers. And while I'm there, I'll see if there's any BIOS updates. There probably isn't because it's an old board. But if there is, this is the time to do it. And I should be on schedule again. I'm not so panicked about hitting a deadline now. Everything should be smooth sailing from this point forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I've kind of ignored you this whole time while I focused on my work. If you have any questions, let's go ahead and ask those now, and I'll do my best to provide you some answers. $256 gig flash drive, yeah. And the reads and writes on this are like SSD. Samuel says, great job. Thank you, Samuel. Sam F2000 says, thanks for the live show. Thank you for joining me on a live show. Steven Cicero says, tweet upgrade. Thank you, Steven. Mr. YN5 says, thank you, Carrie. Enjoyed the show. Have a great day. Thank you. Trollington says, all good. M1 Ha1 says, don't forget to put the handcrafted by Carrie Holzman badge on there. I think you're right. I should do that. Joey says, thanks for sharing. 215 is the last BIOS. What version did I have? It wasn't 215. Hello from Vietnam. I just don't... Oh, Douglas is letting me know. Jeff Spikers says, hello from Vietnam. I just donated $5 on TechVets. I really love the interactive video. I can't wait for the rest of it. That's awesome. Thank you. Are you going to film Dave's reaction? I think it's going to be too dark. When he gets back here, the sun's going to be down. No, I think Dave's going to be happy, though. What do you think? You think Dave will be happy? You want to see where the link is? You guys are asking about this flash drive. You seem sort of impressed by it. Honestly, you can get a cheaper flash drive by buying an MSO2 from Silverstone. And the MSO2 is just a flash drive you can open and put an M2 SATA drive in. And then it's bigger than this. Obviously, it's got to be the size of an M2 drive. Not NVMe, just regular M2 SATA. You can buy an M2 SATA for 500 gig drive for under $100. And then the MSO2 external USB housing for the M2 SATA is, I think, $29.99. So for $130, you could have twice the capacity and it reads and writes faster. And if it ever breaks, you can just open it up and change out the M.2. I'll make a video on that. But in the meantime, if you just want the smaller package, and it's a little slower and it's not repairable, SanDisk Extreme is the way to go. These SanDisk Extreme drives in any size are really fast. The bigger they are, the faster they are. And let me give you a link to it. Let's see, I'll go to Amazon. Why didn't that work? That's better. I'm going to put the link right here in the chat for you. Oh, this isn't the right one. I'm sorry. That's the wrong link, Carrie. Gosh darn it. SanDisk Extreme 256. There it is. Okay. All right, so here's the link for Amazon for this 256 gig SanDisk flash drive, which, sorry, put the wrong video feed on. There we go. Which, as you can see, you get an idea of size. You know, when you see pictures of products online, it's hard to have a point of reference for how big or how narrow. So that's what that is. And just to give you a point of comparison, for those of you who didn't see my MSO9 video, Silverstone has this brilliant USB housing for M2 SATAs. And you can buy any M2 SATA of any capacity, as far as I know. They all work. You just can't use an NVMe drive, but those cost you more money anyway. But just to give you a size comparison, it's a bit bigger, right? But for the same price, basically for what this costs, I can buy this with a 500 gig M.2 SATA, so 256 versus 500 or 512, depending on the SATA drive you buy. And there's just 4 screws. You take those out, you install your M2 no differently than you would install it on a motherboard. It slides in, and one screw holds it down. And then you've got this to slide the USB out. And now you've got a true SSD going through USB 3.0. So it reads and writes faster than this. And if this breaks, you throw it away, if it's out of warranty. If this breaks, you open it up, you change out your M.2 drive. This is a Silverstone MS09, and you can see it's significantly larger. Everything's backwards, Carrie. So there are some systems where there's no room to put this in, you know, in the back if you've got a lot of crowded, but you can get a little, like a USB extension cord like this, if that's the case. You can buy that separately and just plug an extension on it if you have a tight spot for that to fit in. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool little device. That's the Silverstone MS09. Let's see if I can find a link to that for you. Z-Modem has contributed $20. He says, keep these videos coming. Thank you, Z-Modem. It's an interesting name. Back in the modem days, it was a file transfer protocol called Z-Modem. Made file transfers a lot faster and parity checking, so the files you got were good. It was a upgrade from X modem and Y modem. All right, and that's not a joke, that's real. Let's go Amazon Silverstone MS09. There it is, $31.87, something like that. It's totally worth it. You might be able to find it somewhere else cheaper, but here's a link to Amazon for the Silverstone that I just showed you. The reason I'm providing you the links is I do make a commission off of Amazon if you use one of my links to make any purchase at Amazon. Even so, if you click on the link and you decide, I don't want that, but while I'm here, and you type in something else and search for it on Amazon, as long as your visit on Amazon was, if you were brought there from my link, I get a small commission off whatever you buy. It doesn't change your price at all. And I even have an Amazon link. If you go to my About page on YouTube, it's just a generic, you know, takes you right to Amazon. Again, if you're going to buy there anyway, it doesn't change your price, and especially if it's something that's, you know, a few $100s, the commission's totally worth it. It could be $20 or $30 commission. But even if it's just small stuff, small $20 and $30 stuff, if enough of you use it, those nickels and dimes do add up. So, yeah, I appreciate that, and that's why I'm providing the links rather than telling you to go get it yourself. There's a financial incentive in there for me, and again, it doesn't cost you any more or any less. Is Acronis limited by the number of PCs it can be used on? Acronis is limited by the number of PCs it can be installed on, but if you create an Acronis rescue disk, there's no limit because it's a rescue disk. It has no way of knowing how many systems you've used it on, which may violate their terms of service, but the software works fine. I usually only use Acronis for cloning, but the new version of Acronis does so much more. It'll back up your files and folders and everything on your Android cell phone. It'll back up your phone. It can back up your data to the cloud, Acronis Cloud. It can, what are some of the new features they added? There's a bunch of new features they added in Acronis 2019, but I don't want any of that. So when I make a backup, I boot from the rescue disk, I make an image onto an external USB drive, and I never install the Acronis software other than to make the rescue disk. And even then, you don't have to install the software. You register the software at acronis.com, go to their download page to make sure you get the latest version of the latest build of Acronis 2018, 2019, whatever it is. And one of the downloads is an ISO image for the bootable media, so you don't even have to install the software. Just buy the software, register yourself on acronis.com, download the ISO, burn it to a flash drive with Rufus, and just boot to that anytime you want to make a backup. And there's no limit on how many PCs you can use it on, technically. Now, legally, I don't know, but they're not, if you're not charging people from it and you don't have really big, deep pockets, they're not going to waste money going after you. And if you want the full feature set, then you'd want to install the software. And they have 3 PC license versions, 5 PC license versions. And you can tell by the price if you're buying the 1 PC, 3 PC, or 5 PC version, because the price goes up accordingly, although at a discount. Yes, many solid state drives will come with a free version of Acronis that only works if you have that drive installed. So it's not like you can use that on other drives. When you're in business and you're charging customers, you can't really use free software. You've got to have licensed software, software you can trust, and software that has support, because your customers are depending on you. And when you're relying on free, it might work for a little while, but you'll eventually go out of business, I promise you. So you just cannot rely on free software in a for-profit business for both practical and legal reasons. But that said, I use Acronis maybe 5-6 times a year. I honestly don't think Acronis would have a problem with how I use it. And they sent me Acronis 2019 for an early review, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And it's released tomorrow, Acronis 2019, so I won't even bother. It's pretty much the same with these added features. They've got it now where you can make an image to your USB drive and make it bootable, so that when you boot to the rescue disk, it can automatically begin your restore. But it doesn't work on flash drives, which I thought was disturbing. It'll work on hard drives, they say. I don't know. I continue to use Acronis very basically. The software is so much richer and full of features that I don't use that many of you may find beneficial. So make sure you go to the Acronis website and read about the features of the latest version versus perhaps the previous version. Might be worth it to buy the latest version. If you go on if you go on Amazon right now, you could buy Acronis 2017 or 2018. 2017 is cheaper. 2018 has more features. Tomorrow you'll be able to buy 2019. 2019 will probably cost more money, and it has more features. If those are features that you will use, buy it. If they're features you're not going to use, save your money and buy the previous gen. Okay, does that clear that up? Do you know a quick workaround to disable jack detection? You go into your Real Tech software, or whatever makes your audio software, and there's a little gear or a settings icon, and you can disable that right within the software. Hi Carrie, I really liked your ham joke that you told in your third computer build video starting in the $350. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I know what you're talking about. When people do things because that's the way other people do them, but they don't know why they're doing them. Yeah, you should know why you're doing something. Don't follow rituals. Understand the reasoning and the logic behind why you're doing what you're doing. Otherwise, you might as well wave a dead chicken over your head and chant. What good's that gonna do you? You know, forget the rituals. I talk to a lot of so-called techs that say, well, here's how I fix this. And I go, well, you've got 3 unnecessary steps. Well, that's the way I do it, and that's how it always works. I go, I understand, you've ritualized it, but I'm telling you, if you did that and skipped those 3 steps, it would still have the same end result. Well, and then we get into an argument. I'm like, you know what, just keep doing it your way. Never mind, forget I said anything. You're a ritualizer. You don't understand why it works, you just know it works. Fine, don't let me interfere. That just upsets me. I don't like people who call themselves technicians who don't understand why what they're doing is working, only that they know if they do it, it has this effect. And that's called ritualizing. That's different from having knowledge. I want you guys to think for yourselves, because not every situation is going to match. So I need you to be able to think, okay, if this is how I did it this way, and this is a little different, and this is the reason why I did it, then I have to accomplish it in a different way, and I understand, and you can think for yourself. Can you imagine that? I know you can do it. Can I get a link to the chicken? No. He's a real pecker. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks again for watching. I'm already losing a lot of light. You see how dark it's. The sun's going down. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Today, I will see you tomorrow, I think, probably. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the contributions, all the donations. Thanks for the moderators, of course, for keeping it civil in the chat. Thanks for all the views and for tuning in and watching. And I look forward to your friendly comments below the video and your thumbs up. I'm counting on you. I know you can do it. It's just a click. You just go like this, right there with a little thumbs up. Doesn't take much effort. You go like this and like that, like this and like that. I know you can do it. I believe in you. That's it. I'm done. I'm done.